allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call?
Mark?
Yep.
Me? Present. Sharon?
Yes.
John?
Yep.
Tom?
Yeah.
Gerald?
Present.
Rebecca?
Any additions to the agenda? For the one I sent out, all I forgot to put on that, we have to approve the minutes on the fall. It's 10/8/19, but they didn't put it in hand here. That's
Can you put on there that, will you be talking about the repairs done?
Yep.
Okay, that's got to be put on there, I think, for approval, doesn't it? I know, but probably should put it in the minutes. And know where it's coming
Chief
from.
report, okay.
Want to do that chief report?
Whatever you want to do, just so we do it.
Yeah, it's
We'll put
gonna,
that
I already
chief's-
talked
okay,
about
okay.
putting it on the chief's report.
So the agenda addition, just to vote on special minutes.
Yep.
Correct?
Yeah. Okay, first thing we're gonna do is the minutes of September 18th, the last regular meeting. It'll be 9/18 of 19.
Motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Jerry said that. There's a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, move to approve. Okay, let's do the minutes from the special meeting of October 8th, 2019. That was our special meeting we had here.
Motion to approve.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Minutes are approved. Financial report, approval of the bills. Power fire equipment bill, 1,800. What vehicle was that on?
That's on the engine, it'll be on the tanker, it'll be on all of them. It's our annual pump testing and maintenance.
And all? Our charter communications always that high?
The rates have gone up on charter, but
I know what,
but more
238?
on the AT&T.
Is that all charter? or is that-
238 is the normal, yeah, it went up from like 197 or something like that it was before.
Has anybody ever tried to talk to him, because Charter will negotiate, I've done it with my business, I went back after him, knocked it down, if you just ask for it, really, I think it's worth a try.
I think my last question would be the reimbursement for $1,132.
That was batteries for the AEDs, and I didn't have the credit card because I did it from my office, and I used my own credit card, so that's why that is.
Quick question on Apollo fire equipment. You have, it says four vehicles, fan, alternator, pump leaks, pump packing, pump testing. Is that all on, which one of those trucks? Were any of those on engine 16?
If it was pump packing, it was on tanker 15 because it's a Darley pump and it, after it's run a lot, it leaks. It's normal. So that was mainly the tanker.
The fan and alternator was, which one?
Probably the tanker, without seeing my reports, probably the tanker.
And Blue Water Fuel Management, what is that?
Yes.
Gas,
Okay, the gas from where?
Marathon and Linwood.
And where, Linwood?
Yep. We use switch stations just in case one goes down, we have a backup, so we can have another station.
How many places do you have that with? How many?
Two.
Two? There and the other ones right here in town?
Speedway.
Speedway, so you do tax things for both of them?
Oh, yeah, that's always, yeah.
For
Well,
both,
that's why
each
we're
every
explaining
year?
to you over the phone once every, I don't know if it's every 2 or 3
Some,
years.
depends on what you fill out.
I have to fill it out. Yeah.
Both places you do.
Are there any other questions for the bills? I'll make a motion to accept the bills.
I'll support.
Roll call.
Before you do that, the bill is in there for what we just did for 16, isn't it? I thought
Yes.
we just signed it.
But we deducted the sales tax because when I picked the engine up on Thursday, I took the W-9 and we did the tax exempt stuff when I was there at the office.
Do you know where we're taking that out of? What line item?
I took it out of,
Because you don't have enough in your vehicle maintenance.
What my opinion was, without talking to the board after sending out the emails, my opinion was to have an overdraft and then make the adjustments at the end of the year like we have when we've done
Oh,
those.
no. No. We need to
Then-
know where you want to take it out of, and especially if it's going to be taken out of the reserve or one of the contingency funds.
We can probably take it out of the equipment. The turnout gear is 15,000, so we could take it out of that account.
Before we spend the money has to be available. You can't
Yes.
take it out and then say, well, now we'll take it out of this fund. That's.
but it is
totally
available
illegal
in
to
our
do that.
budget.
Pardon?
It is available in our budget.
But you still, it has to be, you have to amend the budget before you can spend it. If you know there's an expense coming at a meeting, you amend how much you want, then it gets put into that department.
I think the one issue we have is there isn't enough in the equipment vehicle maintenance fund. He does have money in capital outlay funds, but now, I might be wrong on this, but isn't the capital outlay and the contingencies funds a unanimous vote of this board to move that money?
I'm pretty sure it is, so.
Well, that's why I wanted to bring it up, so if we have to move it out of one of these funds,
It has to be okay. with this.
it's gotta be okay for the board.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to take everything under the turnout gear. Then you have another equipment fund, 4,000. And I think he needs that grant thing, because I think you applied, didn't you apply for a grant or something?
Not that he needs any additional money.
Okay.
The grant that I applied for, and it was in the chief's report, I heard today that we were approved for $36,000 from the tribe. So the turnout gear money could be used because we have that 36,000. It is for the turnout gear and the air bottles. Eric called me today and advised me of it.
It's still going to have to be a vote of the capital outlay of the board and have a unanimous vote, no matter if it's either one of those.
So what are we looking at?
Either you got to take it out of your capital outlay or your contingency.
And what's the amount going to be? Do you have?
What was it, 10 something, Dave, the
No,
whole
it's
thing?
90, $95.04.
Is that including the towing to tow it there? How much is that?
I don't have a bill from towing it down there, but I'm estimating that's probably about $350. So,
That's all, 350?
well, to tow it to Station 16 from up here, it was $220. So I haven't seen a bill for that, so.
We'll say about 10 probably.
At least, well, that or more, because it's going to be, I'm going to guess $1,000 to tow. It's Saginaw, correct?
Yep.
And then it's not a regular towing truck, it's the heavy-duty one, the bigger ones?
Right.
Yeah, so,
So, but when we towed it back to Station 16 from when we had the initial breakdown, it was $220.
but did you tow it from where to where?
From Pinconning, from right in the city limits, right at the park, to Station 16.
So about 7 miles versus, yeah, over to Saginaw, yeah, probably another $1,000, my guess, what you told that for. So maybe, yeah, I would say 10,500.
Okay. You want to take it out of capital outlay?
Well, the next question is, do we want to take more out of contingency or capital, one or the other? Because you know darn well something else might break down. If it does, we should be covered, or?
Well, no, I think right now, if we took it out of the, he's got turnout gear coming, he's got a grant for that, so if he's got 15,000 in turnout gear, he's not gonna need that there, we could take it from there.
Will you need that, Dave, or not? Is that the grant cover all?
The grant covers 12 sets of turnout gear.
12 sets, okay. So then we could take the money,
Mhm.
transfer the money from the turnout gear into
Vehicle maintenance.
vehicle maintenance.
Mhm.
And we're gonna do 10,500?
Mhm. No, because they've already got some.
It's gonna, yes, it's in it.
10 for.
There is 10,000.
Mhm.
motion for?
I'll make a motion that we'll
amend the
take
budget?
it, to amend the budget, 10,500 out of turnout gear and put it in vehicle maintenance.
So it's going from capital outlay up into vehicle maintenance.
Mhm.
And once I make that adjustment, is it okay just to email you a copy of the new
Mhm.
budget?
That's fine.
Oh, yeah, we do roll call. Sharon's making the motion and, ask for a roll call vote.
You know, I hate to make this muddy, but didn't we already make a motion and a support, and before you, I think you need to roll call
Yeah, roll call.
For the bills.
for the bills,
Bills.
and then we'll roll call for this.
This one's separate, okay. The bills, who made the motion first?
I made the motion,
Okay,
I
so-
support
and
it.
it's- Okay, Mark,
yes.
me, yes, Sharon,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Gerald,
Yes.
Rebecca. Yes.
Okay, now I'll make the motion now that we remove 10.5 out of the turnout gear line item under capital outlay to vehicle maintenance line item.
I think Tom supported it, didn't you? Yes.
You said Tom?
Yeah, Tom supported
I need a vote on that. Mark,
it. Yes.
me, yes. Sharon,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Gerald,
Yes.
Rebecca.
Yes. But I have one other question under, and I don't want to, this was back in September 16th, on budget versus the actual. Under equipment maintenance, we already moved monies. Did you already move monies into that? Because I have 150% over budgeted in that line item, and then it's different over in this one. So I guess my question's going to be, I don't want to see us have a 150% in a line item over. So it looks like you adjusted it or corrected it, but you need to let us know what adjustments and where it came from. You see right there?
I see it, but I don't recall remember making any.
Yeah, but over here, when I look at it, when we were looking at where we were going to take the money from, it's different. Vehicle maintenance had 10,000 in it. Remember me just saying that to you?
Yeah, yeah.
You talking equipment maintenance or vehicle maintenance?
Well, equipment maintenance is 150% over.
Correct.
What did we buy and we're $1,015.38 over? That has to be corrected. We cannot sit with a budget line item over. So that has to make an adjustment to it. 150 point. Yeah, but still, you got it.
Well, you can do that. You don't have to, you don't have to.
Do you want to?
You can wait until the end of the, before the
That's
budget
what-
year.
okay.
You can, as long as you got enough in there, down here.
All right.
You're good, you can have it,
Okay.
you can. So we will do that. It's good way it is. You can't have a line item over, as long as the total in the bottom is still.
And it's at 47% at the bottom.
That's what I thought, what we did last year.
Financial report?
All right, we, of course, did the budget, I gave you all, or not the budget, the audit, and I gave you all of the report from the auditor. But we got a letter from the state that said that it was warning us that our expenses exceeded our revenues 3 years in a row, more than 3 years. And so with the auditor's help, you know, I remedied that, sent a letter to the Department of Treasury to take care of that. Did you? Yeah.
No, what I was just gonna say, last time I spoke to our auditors, they came right, one gentleman came right to the office, and he said the state of Michigan is really combing through all of the audits now. And he said, just like that line item, before the budget year, the new budget year, those line items, you have to get them corrected. Because the state does not look at the bottom number. They look at every single line item. So as long as you adjust those before the end of the budget, you won't hear nothing from the state. But if you leave them like that, even though your department is not overspent, but if one line item is, they'll kick it over. So you just have to do that, you know, a few months in advance.
Well, for us though, we've had a high amount that we carried over each year
Sure.
too. And the auditor said we could use from that. That's why our expenses could be more than revenue coming in. And that's where the state was.
Yeah, but like I said, if the line items don't match, yeah, you got the money, but they still want to see all of them balanced.
And I am still having a problem with AT&T bills. I just opened up a bill today and it's $349 for one stinking month.
Okay,
And
ours is taken care of. I called the,
That's why I was hoping you could give some advice. I know you've had the
yes.
same struggle.
Yeah, what the heck is it? What commission is that when you, the Public Service Commission? Call them and they will investigate it for you. They will make them get on it right away.
Because I have numerous calls into them and nobody ever calls
I know,
back.
they're
You
awful.
can't get anybody, they never call back.
Yeah.
I sent a letter, never heard anything.
Just explain all that to the Public Service Commission, you know? Check it out.
And I should be able to get that number online.
Yes, yes.
Okay? That's all I have.
Any questions on the financial report? No. Public comment? Yes, Paul.
Paul Fonville. Tonight you're going to discuss a full-time firefighter. I see that on the agenda. I want to know if this board is represented by one person, which is the mayor, that shot his mouth off and said that they're going to hire a new fire chief if they hire anybody. I want to know if this whole board is he represents the whole board.
No.
Because he's quoted in the paper saying if he hires anybody, it'll be a new fire chief.
Well, first off, I'd like to make a comment in regards to what is in the paper. That is very opinionated. It's basically, it's almost editorial. You have to go to the meetings to hear what goes on.
My daughter's 16 years old and she was there and it was said.
It was said,
So I want to know. So I want to know if that is, if Mayor Gibson represents this entire board.
Think you know better
no,
than that.
of course not.
That's what I.
Nobody can. The board's the board.
Any other public comment? Okay, chief's report.
We discussed that Engine 16 is back in service. We've done preschool fire prevention, fire safety for the preschools at St. John's this past month. The tribal grant, like I said, I heard today that it was approved, so that'll be a kick for us. Firefighter Lozon we're going through the background check on him, and hopefully he'll be starting the academy on December 3rd, and I did pass out a schedule so you can see what he has to go through to reach his firefighter 1 and firefighter 2. The DNR, I'm waiting for a call back from them. They were, last month, they were in California, and the man that takes care of it,
You talking about the brush truck now? Okay,
to get it returned.
okay.
And the school has requested if we had any old fire hose to use for securing the classrooms. They want to cut it and use it on the openers
For their
of
Alice
the
training.
doors. So I'm wondering if I can give them our outdated 10-year-old hose.
Got plenty of them at our
So
station.
that's was my thought, so I just wanted to have permission to do that, so.
Yeah. Can I ask a question,
Yep.
Dave? What size is that hose we have coming out of our water? Is that a 2-inch?
2.5.
2.5? Okay. I'm trying to get one that does not collapse, so we don't rust another pipe up there this winter.
Just need a sticker one, don't we?
We need one that don't
Yeah.
fall. We need one that stays open, like I see on some of the hydrants that they use for, they sell water. I'm trying to get one through WeBack right now to replace that one, so when it hangs, it stays open, and that way it don't freeze shut, and then when the water comes, it cracks our top pipe, but we had fixed last year, so. But we had an awful close spot last year, so. I just want to make sure I get the right size here. Anything else, Dave?
That's all I have.
So when was the 16 going to be done?
It's
It is
done.
done.
Oh, it's done, good. I guess my other question was, when we have that happen, we alert the other fire departments in the area, am I correct? Saying we're down an engine, or
Yep.
that's how it works, okay?
We only had one fire during the truck being down, so.
Okay, let's go on to unfinished business. We're going to discuss, it was tabled at the last meeting about hiring Officer Spencers and Officer Viviano as firemen. I guess,
I'm gonna make the motion not to hire Officer Spencer and Officer Viviano as firefighters, the Pinconning Fraser Fire Department. We are under a lot of reconstructing and putting full-time people on, and I think that's just, we don't need to have that extra at this time. That's my opinion.
No, second motion.
I got a question for the motion.
Sure.
Is this just for those two, or?
Just those two,
Somewhere in the future, if Pinconning Fire, city police
Yeah,
officer.
I
wants
don't
to-
have a problem with the city police officers working in the city.
I just want to make sure we,
Yeah.
I just don't want to cut out the city all the way.
No, I don't
Anybody
have
working for the
a,
city.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, before I vote on it, Jerry, and being mayor, what was your discussion on this as far as the city side?
We have to table it this meeting because it's never really been discussed. So we need to get that answer at this upcoming.
So you make a motion not to vote?
I'm gonna make a motion, my motion
Oh, he's not
stands.
tabling it here. You're
No,
tabling
okay,
it
yeah.
your meeting.
You take on your meeting?
Yes,
Oh,
our-
not yours.
I had several questions and none of them have been answered, so at this time, I'm making a motion to not hire.
My second.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call?
Exactly on the specifics. Stalzer making a motion to not
Hire
hire.
Officer Spencer and Officer Viviano to the Pinconning Fraser Fire Department.
Are we gonna put at this time, or are we gonna just like that?
I'm just gonna leave it like that, it always can be reviewed and changed.
Yes.
Me? No. Sharon?
To not hire?
To not hire.
Yes, not hire.
Okay, yes, then I want, yes, to not hire. I did
Yes,
wrong.
I just want to make sure you understood what we're doing here.
John?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Gerald?
Yeah.
Rebecca?
Yes.
Motion carried, not to hire either of the officers.
Thank you.
Okay, we've taken care of the DNR brush truck. You said the chief from Auburn? is
Yes,
there?
Chief
Yeah.
Mark,
You talked about the brush truck, and I didn't understand if that was return or retired.
We're
So it's
returning
both.
it to the DNR.
Yeah, we're
But it's still
returning it to
parked in-
retired.
Oh, I know, but I changed it on the new one.
I just want to know why we need.
I seen that after I sent it over, I go, somebody's gonna give me heck on this one. It had to be Sharon.
Of course.
Yeah, I just happened to see it when I was in there checking the hall the other day, and I was wondering what it was.
So you're still housing it, right?
Yeah. Yep. Is our rescue truck back? I didn't even go over it.
Yeah.
Okay, I figured when you brought 16 back, our rescue truck would be back over, okay.
John Martinsky we had planned to have him here at the last meeting that we had discussing the hired and paid firemen, but he had a conflict with his schedule to be here, so I asked him to come back tonight because I was being addressed by the board and some of the board members' questions about how Auburn handled things, so I thought he could be here to answer your questions if you had any. So John is here, so.
Anybody have any questions? I know he's here, we gotta ask him some questions.
Well, we just got this afternoon, I couldn't think of any questions that fast.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Sharon, one of your questions that you addressed
Of
me
course you
was,
remember mine.
well, I'm just,
Whatever, pick on me, I'm good at it.
was how he limits the number of firefighters that respond to a call. And, John?
Okay, so how we limit the number when we first started it is we have a system that's called I'm Responding. And what the firefighters do is on their phone, they'll patch in saying that they're headed to the call. So when they see for a medical, car accident, fire, they know basically how many firefighters they need to go to that call. And they basically police that themselves. As far as if they know it takes only 3 to go and 3 come up on the screen and everybody can see it, then that's the way they hold it. But the question came up from our board also, like, how do you keep from all your firefighters showing up on every call? So kind of when we started this last year with Auburn Williams, that was kind of a question mark. But really when it comes down to it, it's not something you need to worry about, because it won't happen. The problem I would say you're gonna have is having enough firefighters show up to the call. Because, I mean, that's the problem right now, is having firefighters respond to the call. And by paying Auburn Williams firefighters, that really did not change the outcome of now I have 10 more firefighters.
Can I ask
I got
another
a
question?
question. Go ahead. You first.
Did you find that once you now have somebody full-time there, are you getting mutual aid, getting more mutual aid in the surrounding areas because you have somebody available?
Oh, that
You're
was-
going to more mutual aid, I think
No,
is
we
she's
don't.
trying to ask.
Okay.
You know, all Bay County fire departments, they respect mutual aid. I mean, all fire departments handle their own areas, so there's no really abuse of mutual aid. Now, when we were in trouble, when we were missing calls, technically Auburn Williams was abusing the mutual aid. Because if we couldn't make the call, we were calling for Monitor, Beaver, and really, that's not up to a neighboring fire department to respond to our calls. Mutual aid is basically if you go to a fire, you go to a bad car accident, and you need help, you call for mutual aid. Mutual aid was never meant to be for in-house medical. And for that fire department to not respond at all.
Okay.
My question being, have you been finding out when the dispatch goes out for fire or medicals, have they more showing up for fire or medicals, or are not as many showing up for medicals because they know it's just a medical? You know what I'm asking?
Well, the question you're asking is, like, when we set this up the first time, we had a guy come in, we had a counselor come in, we had people come in and tell us basically how fire departments work nationwide. It's not Pinconning, it's not Bay County, it's not one area. These people come in there and they tell you, this is what's happening nationwide. Nationwide, every fire department in the nation is having problems responding to medical calls. It's just a trend. It's just the way the nation, it's the way things are changing. So to respond to a medical call, you get less people. That's correct. To a fire, 10 years ago, you definitely got a lot more firefighters than you get today. Now today, if we had a fire today, I might get 8 firefighters. So that changes too. It's what everybody's doing. Everybody's busy, everybody's got things to do, and people's lives become more important than the fire department.
Quick question, do you also have ambulance, paid ambulance for your
No.
township?
No.
No ambulance?
No.
So you rely on
We rely on it, but
McLaren?
And I was going to interject something on that, because I'm from the department in Illinois. Illinois, most fire departments, 95% of them run an ambulance. So I think the problem out here is that, again, since you don't know where the heck your ambulance is coming from, because I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but as, well, I know you guys have Northern Bay, so I don't know if they're just, for this district, or they go other places or whatever, but if you're like, you have McLaren, so you don't know where if they have a station in your city, if you don't know where they're coming from, right?
they're coming to basic.
So I think in those cases, that changes the whole parameter of things as far as people responding. You know, if you're fortunate enough, again, to have a fire department ambulance, the ambulance goes out, the engine goes with them, and, you know, you're really not looking to, you know, but there are many cases where there's, you know, mutual aid ambulances. You know, we ran, 3 stations with 3 ambulances, and there were times our 3 ambulances out, we'd have to call a neighboring town for an ambulance. So I think that, again, when you talk about EMS, it's a money-making process, but it's a pain in the butt, especially in your guys' case out here where, A, you don't have enough guys to do anything, much less whether or not they're all trained, or whatever. I don't know what the requirements are out here for training for your firemen. I don't know if they're first responders or EMTs or medics or whatever. EMS is it's the cornerstone of the fire service. It's the only thing that you can use when you are going to Illinois. They're called referendums. I guess out here they're called millages. In Illinois, if you're going to pass a referendum and you tell the public that you're going to put an ambulance at Station 4, wow, that's great, no problem. Out here, you say, well, we're going to put an engine company at Station 4, and then the public's going to say, what for? Because when 80% of your calls are EMS, the odds of fires touching anybody's lives out here are pretty rare.
Well, there's a pro side private, like McLaren, LMR, are privately owned ambulance companies. Okay, there's a plus to that, and the plus is not every taxpayer in your township or your city is paying for that. So if you go through your whole life, never needing the EMS or an ambulance come to your house, or end up in any type of injury where you need help, then you didn't pay for it. But now what the problem is when you deal with a private company, you deal with whatever that private company decides to do. If that private company decides to run 10 ambulances a day, then you have good coverage. That private company goes on cutbacks and they run half, and a lot of them are doing transfers, and they're not running emergency calls, then your community hurts.
They're out to make money. It's a business.
They're out to make money. And if they close, if they can't make money, they move on. They're only there to make money. So if McLaren, like McLaren for instance, is now everybody trusted McLaren. McLaren's been around for a long, long time. Well, McLaren EMS is switching hands. Another company's coming. Okay, so now the fire service has to get, how's this ambulance company doing? So the catch is yes, everybody's not paying for it. That's the nice thing about private ambulances. The nice thing about fire department ambulances, or a municipality, it's basically owned by the fire department, owned by the district board, is they will respond to every call that the community asks, because that's their job. So, I mean, that's the biggest plus there. When someone needs help, they get on the phone and call 911, the fire department is coming.
What kind of shifts do you run out there?
Well, when we first started, when we first went, we were running 5 days a week, 12 hours a day. And that's 2 firefighters on.
How did you decide what hours you were gonna run?
Because I just basically ran a report of when all my calls were. So I
And
took
what
the
were
majority
those
of
hours?
my calls and covered those hours.
What were those hours normally?
Hours for weekdays from between 6 in the morning and 6 at night was the majority of all our calls. And then since then, we've moved to more staffing, that the firefighters are covering paid the staff. And when I say, I mean staff, the part-time, the guys that get paid part-time. Now they're covering 48 hours on the weekends. Because now when winter's coming, it starts to trend, people are moving more, roads are slippery, there's more chances of accidents. So again, you take a look at where all your calls are at, and you staff your department to cover the calls.
I can see in the summer around here, maybe July, we'd wanna run 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. because of the fires we have in the wheat fields, you know, that's a big thing around here in July.
Well, I mean, what runs through your township is you got, I mean, basically I-75, okay? You got Death Highway on Huron Road. So, I mean, there is a huge chance of, I mean, an accident that's in large scale constantly. In both, I mean, basically your city, both your townships.
Now, when I started full-time, one of the first guys hired full-time, we worked 12-hour shifts, and it was 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., it was 7 days a week. We worked 3 days on, 2 off, 2 on, 3 off. And we did that for probably 2 years until we went to 24-hour shifts. And then, you know, but again, I'm sure, I don't know what your call rate is here, I don't know where they, but 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. is pretty much usually for most departments the #1 time for calls. I mean, I don't know, you know, even on full-time departments, you know, out of 3 stations, at least one of the 3 stations always slept through the night. So, you know, it's one of those.
Now, we didn't, like, when we went to paid on call and having the fire department staff, it took about 2 years of worked with the board, worked with the city, worked with the township to come up with this decision. It wasn't, we didn't do it in haste. Everything was checked, everything was taken care of, and finally it got to the point where, because the more calls your fire department misses, it's like, it will breathe more. So if you have a year that you miss 23 calls, and someone says 23 calls, that's not bad. We had 600 calls, but we missed 23. 23 will grow, because every time you miss a call, it will grow bigger and bigger and bigger, because it's basically your fire department's bleeding. It needs help. And the more you do, at that point, you do not help your department, the worse it'll get. Auburn went from 23 to like 30 to 50, and by today, if we didn't do nothing, it would have been, we would have had maybe 75 to 80. It just does not stop. Missing calls makes you miss more calls. And because it kills the morale of your fire department, and what you have, your members of your fire department, is the backbone of your department. And missing calls to them breaks their backs. They don't want to miss calls.
Are all your firemen from your township?
Say what now?
Are all your firemen from your township and city?
Yes.
Or they're not
All-
farmed in?
All my paid on calls, so all my members are from the township and the city. But now the part-time guys
Yeah,
are not.
they're not.
They come in from Midland, Saginaw, basically. Because again, we ran into the problem of my paid on call, they work 5 days a week. They all have, I mean, mostly nice jobs, but, you know, that's the reason why we were missing calls. Because everybody during the day was busy at work. So when we went to go hire somebody, it was from outside the township.
When you say missing calls, are you saying that a call came in and nobody went?
No way.
Oh, shit. So if you look at it, and if your township or your fire department is missing calls where you're not responding, in all reality, that's bad. Okay, because when someone picks up the phone and they need help, and they call 911, they need the fire department to come. They truly, you're providing a service that should be 100%. If it's failing, then it should be high priority to fix it. So, but like I said, Williams Township and Auburn went through the growing pains to get where we are today. Because it finally come down to, you really can't provide a service that you don't have no one to go.
Can I ask Chief Ramsey something?
Who
Are we missing any calls, Chief Ramsey?
It would depend on how you look at missing calls. If you're looking at the fact that we're responding, maybe not with a full EMT or a MFR rig, yes, we're missing calls, but we do have someone that shows up as a firefighter to help the ambulance.
We're not missing
We-
fire runs, all regular fire.
The fire runs we're not missing. The big
Okay.
thing is what John's referring to, and correct me, it's the medical responses.
You can't send, on a medical call, you can't send an unlicensed firefighter to a medical call. Your rigs are licensed, I believe MFR.
Right.
MFR, you have to send a MFR with that vehicle. You are, basically, when we miss calls, if 2 years ago when we were missing calls, if I had just firefighters that showed up to the station, they could not go on that medical call. They are not licensed to go to a medical call if they do not have a medical license. So if you're making calls without an MFR in your licensed MFR vehicle, technically you're missing that call.
How many people in your fire department are licensed for medical?
I have 23 licensed medical.
Licensed medical. Yeah, we know that.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
What did your millage go to? Did you raise a millage to pay for this?
Yes. We raised the millage in Williams Township 1 mil, and then the city had to pay 2.
What's your thought behind the 2 for the city and the 1 for the?
Because the tax evaluation for the city was a lot lower than what the township is.
They have more people?
No, the houses
Well,
in
but you gotta
Williams,
think, that you got Corning, don't you, over there?
well, yes,
Yeah.
the houses in Williams
Yeah,
Township,
yeah. I just
You've
had,
got quite a bit of industry.
Yeah. Williams Township is a lot higher. Auburn's only 1 mile by
Yeah,
1 mile.
Williams is.
It's growing, yeah.
It's growing, yes, that's good. Do you have, quick question, do you have any apartment complexes there?
Yes.
So, yeah.
And then how do you, for a fire, for millage, is that just per complex or is it per apartment?
It's per vote, I mean, basically it comes, basically, I believe the apartment complex, because it's assessed as far as its tax value, and the owner of that pays that.
Yeah, okay.
Are there any questions for the chief?
Yeah.
I got a question. What's the show-up pay? I mean, how much an hour do you, I had that, but 14, 15?
Okay, so the staff, the part-timers, they make $15 an hour straight while they're at the station. The paid on call when they come in, they make 1 hour minimum, $15, and then if they go over hour, they get paid for whatever time they're there.
At what
But if
rate?
they're only there for 20 minutes, if they go to a call and they're there for 20 minutes, they get paid for that.
But does the rate stay the same for the
Yes,
first hour, and then say he's there for another 6 hours, it's $15 every hour?
yes.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of departments that make it higher, make it lower, then that, as far as accounting all that, that turns into a large mess.
yes, that,
Before you went to full-time fighters or whatever paid, when you was a volunteer department, what's the difference between the ratio of them showing up just as volunteers to now whoever is being paid? Is there a big difference in that?
Okay, so that's kind of that's a complicated question really, because it really comes up to, if you look at a department, I have 33 members on my department. On that department, I have 12 dedicated people. Now, why are they dedicated? Why do they look to a call and they go to that call? I don't know why those people exist, but they do. But then you get a majority of people that don't have that drive to wake up 3 o'clock in the morning at midnight, or get home and are having dinner to leave the table to go to a call. So really, when we went to a paid department, the number of firefighters responding did not change. Basically, right now, my firefighters that were making a lot of calls, if I had a firefighter making 180 calls a year, he is still making 180 calls a year, but at least now, he is being paid for it. Before, that firefighter that was making 180 calls a year was basically, you might as well said, every time he came to the fire station, you should put a coffee can there and have him put $5 in it, because that's what he was losing. we figured out what a firefighter living 3 miles away from the fire station, just driving back and forth to the fire station. I mean, there's a guy that's a volunteer that's actually divvying up money. So, but then when we went to pay, I still have my 12, basically are making all the calls.
We're running about what, 7 or 8? I think most of the calls.
I think it was
I think
9
it's
this
what I
month.
think.
And again, that has nothing to do with your administration of your fire department, that's nationwide.
Any other questions for the chief?
Thank you for coming.
No problem.
Yes, thank you. Answered a few questions for me. Did you have any more questions, Pat? Thank you, chief, for coming. Okay, do we want to set up another special meeting date? I got a question for him, Jerry here.
Yeah.
What's the city going to do? Do we know if they're going to be able to handle if we want to put a full-time on, or is that something that they're discussing, or?
Full-time.
12-hour, yeah. You know, it's going to cost more. Are you guys going to be able, are you guys looking into the cost of that?
Oh, yeah, we have to be.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. You know, there's no use getting involved in this unless we have all 3 entities being ready to pay a little extra money for it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's pick a date.
Pick a day. Sharon, pick a day.
I will pick a time. You pick a day, and somebody else pick what else. But I
We're going
want,
in December?
that's fine. But I want to make a time. I don't like coming out at night.
Yeah. Scare us too.
I think during the day is awesome. I think the only one who has a problem might be Shirley, but we don't need you for this part, so that would be, that, I mean, not that, I'm trying nice.
We can do FaceTime.
And I know it's hard for you to get nights off, so you're the one I'm concerned about. Why don't you pick a day and,
Any day would be good. as long
Mondays
as
and
it's not
Tuesdays.
6:30,
that's
7 o'clock.
fine, that's fine with me.
Mondays or Mondays?
A Monday or
best for me.
Tuesday, yeah, would be fine.
Monday's good.
Monday's
Monday,
good.
Tom, you good with Monday?
Okay, we got Monday.
What's the Mondays in December?
I don't have a watch with me, I'm sorry. I mean, I have a watch.
2/9/16/23.
No, let's not do it that day. Let's do it on, why don't we do it the first week?
What day is board reviews? That's 12th? I think it's the
Yeah, it's gonna
second
be
Tuesday
second
after the
Tuesday.
second Monday of the month.
Let's do the second.
Second Monday?
No, Monday, the 2nd of December.
12.
And what time is good for you?
I usually work at 3 PM or 5 PM.
Well, we can work it.
So it's
How about,
not
what
like,
time's good for you? Noon? Well, not noon. Let's make it 1 o'clock.
What about 1 o'clock?
okay.
Yep.
Where at? Fraser Hall?
Here or Fraser, doesn't make a difference.
Let's stay here.
Okay. Pinconning Township. Nothing's
Now,
going
Sharon
on
gonna be
here,
in that
right?
day?
Not on Mondays.
You can have Sharon in that day, because we won't be. gone.
Yeah, yes, you may.
Renee coming in for half. December 2nd. That's our special meeting. So people, you got any ideas on what we want to do, put them in writing and we'll bring them to the meeting. And I've been working on it a little myself, so we'll see what we got coming up as far as what we got to have. I have no new business. No announcements on my part. Public comment? Paul?
Tonight you guys decided not to hire Spencer and Viviano, and I respect that. What are you guys doing to recruit new firefighters?
I can answer some of that.
Absolutely.
Northern Bay has 15 trained firefighters. We should probably tap that resource if we can. And when we're talking about maybe paying, maybe we can look at something that way. But they do have trained personnel over there that are firefighters.
The only problem with that, Sharon, is that the chiefs, a lot of the chiefs, don't want their people moonlighting, because if they get hurt, you don't have them. That chief doesn't have that person. But I just want to know what you guys are doing to recruit, because I've been trying to recruit. I want to know what you guys are trying to
need to
do.
go
We put ours in our newsletter or wherever we can get it out, you know, that we need firemen, yes. I know we got it out on the sign now in front of our station that I think got Mr. Lozon to come in. Anytime we talk to anybody, we tell them we need them, you know, they come in and complain, well, we only have a truck at Station 16. Well, then we say, well, why don't you go in and, you know, we need people. Well, that usually shuts them up, but.
Well, that's usually what happens, is we just tell them we need somebody to help that's, you know,
You know, we run it in our newsletter every year, everybody gets a copy of it, and then we try to do as much as we can to get it publicized. You know. What else can we do?
It's a
besides go out and recruit?
that's a nationwide problem, it's not
well,
just
I know the farmers don't farm 365 days a year.
darn close. When they're down, hey, I'm married to a farmer.
Most of them
I know you
are,
are.
most of them are in Florida the other 3
Yeah,
months
right.
of the year.
Those are the old ones. I've asked all my boys to actually be on volunteer fire department. I have 3 boys that live in this township. They all have families, and they all have jobs, and all their wives work. It's just, it's not like, you can't just drop it and go, even if you're paid, there's not the.
Wow, that's
It's not
amazing.
There's 3 of us that do that every day.
Yeah.
I got a family and I have a job.
Yep, that's a wonderful, that's
You know what
great.
it is, Pat? It's an excuse.
Well,
Plain
it is and it
and simple, it's
isn't.
an excuse.
When you gotta take care of kids, when a wife is working, it's a little bit different.
I got 3 kids.
Yeah, well, this big or this big.
Well, I've been on 20,
Yeah.
I've been on 20 years, so, my oldest one was 5 when I started.
Well, I tried. I can't twist their arm.
I know you can't, but I'm just,
We are trying though, Paul. Okay?
well, I understand that, but you have to, it's easy to sit up there and say how easy it is, you know, we need to do this and we need to do that. But I haven't seen any of you guys come out and do anything, when I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning fighting fire. It's not that easy. And I know, you know, you guys have to make decisions, and I understand that, but you don't understand that these guys they just don't do it anymore. And you guys no one's helping to get recruits. And I've had some school kids that ask about it, but the problem is you have to be here with them, and they have to have so many hours at the station. So, who's gonna do that?
I don't understand what you're saying.
Like an explorer. Like, it's a co-op, but to be here at the fire station, being under 18 and not NFPA certified, they have to be here with firefighters, teaching them stuff. Who do you have doing it? Because you said go to the school.
That's the first time I've ever heard about that. that program
Basically,
at
you're
all.
campaigning for a full-time guy then.
I'm not really, I'm campaigning to have my fire board reach out and try to recruit anybody.
I mean, in all reality, the days of thinking that you're going to recruit firefighters.
Oh, I know, it's not.
That's gone.
Yeah.
That's not, it's so, I mean, as a board, what you guys should look at is the fact that that is gone. That's not coming back. Okay? I mean, the training they have to go to is 290 hours to become firefighter 1 and 2. Then they have to take medical training to go on medical calls. And then they have to take classes to keep that license. And the state of Michigan's even changing it more. To stay a firefighter, you're gonna end up having to take classes to stay a firefighter. So the days of wondering why our kids are not joining the fire department is something that happened that we didn't know about, but we can't change it. And it is not going to come back.
And Paul, you say we're not doing anything, well, you know, we are. We're trying to figure something out that's working best for the fire department. With the special meetings, about possibly getting paid people, that would even help you guys get paid to come. We're working on it, it just doesn't happen overnight. This has been a Scrooge for a while now.
I know that, Pat, I've been keeping up on this, on what's going on.
Yeah,
And it's
you're
not,
not.
I understand, that's what I said, you guys got a tough job trying to make all of this work. I totally understand that. But I just want to know what, we put a sign out, we are on our sign, firefighters, and we're lucky to have Mr. Lowe's on, and he's, and that's gonna be hit or miss. So it's, and like the chief said, the days of the volunteers is pretty much gone. And just like you said, Pat, your boy, everybody's got something to do. Everybody's life is, that community involvement is gone. It's a thing of the past.
Chief, how many medical calls do you go on?
Medical calls?
Yeah.
85% of our volume is medical.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, for all the training that they have to go through, the schoolings and everything, has there ever been anything mentioned of a college curriculum to give them some kind of degree for all their schooling? Is that?
Well, what's nice about, the state of Michigan right now, that what they're going through, their training, after they go through the training, they can apply for a full-time job in the city. By that, after you take firefighter 1 and 2 and you take your classes, you can apply for Detroit, Ann Arbor, Kalamazoo, wherever you want to. But now, if they go to college also, they can take that firefighter 1 and 2 from a Delta, and Delta will recognize so many credit hours for that. So what's to say I wanted a degree in fire science? If I take firefighter 1 and 2, Delta will recognize some of them hours. But what's nice about it is, if you want to sell yourself to get to a full-time department, you go to college. But in all reality, you can apply after you take firefighter 1 and 2, your officer classes, and the more school you go to makes you more better for the fire department to pick you up.
Make a motion to adjourn. It's over an hour.
I'm thinking, just a second.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm trying to phrase this as a public comment properly. I know things are said outside this board in haste or whatever, and I'm sure, public comment, that Jerry here might have said something, but he knows, and I'm sure he knows, that it's the board's decision. So some people take it to heart too much by listening to other things going on outside our area, but we make the decisions at the board here. So I just want to lay that to rest, okay?
I made the motion.
I support.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.